Today we're going to talk about the Pinoy love language of TAMPO. If you're not familiar, I've written many years ago what I call the five Pinoy love languages. It's an ebook, but then since then I've written other articles that I would just link below. Today, stick around. I will talk about what is TAMPO, why do we do it, what are the manifestations, how do you know somebody is having TAMPO, and how to respond to it. So, what is tampo? Tampo is there is no direct translation in English. It is not being mad. It's more like I think the closest that one would say is to sulk, but it is really getting your feelings hurt. One thing to note is that the person having the tampo cares about the other person. It's usually not the combination. If you don't care about someone, you probably will not have tampo on that person. So I just want to make sure to straighten that out. But also, it doesn't mean that the other person deeply cares about the other, but the person having the tampo cares about the other person. Um, and why do we do it? If you have been listening to me, one of the most challenging Filipino core value is what we call pakikiramdam. This is sensing someone with little or sometimes even absence of words. Um, Scholars tell us that it's very difficult, even if you're Filipino in the Philippines. I think they know much more, but especially if you grew up somewhere else, the reason for that is many other cultures, especially the Western cultures, very linguistic. We teach our children to use their words, which is if you're doing that, keep doing that. That's healthy, but it's also healthy to learn how to sense um, what the person may mean, because there are a lot of meta meanings. We speak not just verbally, but also non-verbally by our gestures, the way our face, our eyebrows move. So if you have just honed that skill of just listening to words, hone that other skill so that you could be a more holistic and well-rounded communicator. And a communicator is not just one who speaks, but also listen. Listening is part of communication as well. Why we do it? The word loob, inside, is a word that comes up often in the Filipino lexicon. For example, we say utang na loob, mahina ang loob, malakas ang loob. And in many ways, the Filipino or AF Filipino, so obviously we're always generalizing here, no one is everyone. Okay? So I hope you get that. But is trying to figure out the inner being of the Filipino. And we use that often because that matters to the Filipino what they really mean. And they might not be very verbal and articulate that. And that's why scholars would say to really figure that out, we have a malalim na pakikisalamuha. Malalim is deep. Pakikisalamuha is to interact. So we don't just interact superficially, but we interact and really get to know. We're very relational. And so we do it, tampoys, because it's possible. Um, First of all, we want to be noticed. It's possible if you care about someone, you want to be noticed. You also may use it to perhaps test if somebody's sharing with you how much they love you. The question that it beckons is it really true? Is it really true? Do you care about me? Do I matter? Pay attention to me. There's also an underpinning in which if you could tell the person's inner language, then you are taking the time to understand that person. Obviously, there are always shadow sides to these things, especially if you are in America and these things are not taught. It really does create tension in the multi-generational Filipino household. So we also have to teach our young to use more of our words and maybe teach them. And when I'm as a therapist, I'm doing family therapy, I find myself often teaching those exchange of skills to multi-generational families. Um, the thing about tampo, because how does it manifest, right? Is the third point. It could manifest by someone sulking, maybe their face is long, or they're just giving you one word response. Okay, how's your day? Okay, and that's not usually how they respond. So again, they're more silent, but they could use silent treatment. um, the difference of the actual tampo is it's not spiteful. So if someone is really spiteful, they're wishing you ill, it is more than a tampo. So I just making sure that the definition is understood. A tampo is just your feelings got hurt. So for example, if you just gave birth, for the mamas out there, and then your mom, your dad haven't visited you for a couple of weeks, you might get tampo. Even though you might understand them, your feelings just got hurt. So um, so that's some of the manifestations. You could drop in the comments. I'm sure there's many more that I will miss. What are the ways to respond to this? By the way, this is especially difficult, not just for multi-generational Filipinos, but for interracial couples. It's often that I get calls from husband or like partners of Filipino or Filipina when they're exhibiting Pinoy love languages that are very difficult to understand, especially if you grew up in the West. So I did a acronym. It's called RULER. If your, let's say, girlfriend is making tampo, the R is to recognize. If you ask them directly, are you mad? They would say no, because tampo is not, you're not really mad. You might even understand, but it's just that your feelings got hurt. The first is to recognize, is to continue to pursue, even though you might not understand their point, is to no, I know there's something wrong. So you're recognizing, I know you're upset. I know it's not that they're upset, but there's no other language. Direct translation in English. The youth and the ruler, by the way, I have a 7 Pinoy love languages course in which I keep practicing this. There are, I believe, 7 case examples. So check it out. I'll put that in the link, the 7 Pinoy love languages. If you have challenging or difficult Filipino relationships. You is the next one, is to uphold that you're actually communicating to the person whether or not you agree with them, is that you are validating their feelings. Oh, okay. I recognize that you are upset. Um, and that's important to me. I want to hear why you're upset. So the U is to uphold. L in the ruler is to lend. So what do you need me to do? And this is all even if you don't agree. Okay. So I'm from a place of uh to actually prefer to be uh, loving over being right. So that's the lend, is to lend support. What do you need? E is to entertain. After you've lent the hand, usually you could expect that the tampo has dissipated a little bit. This is when you can entertain a new way, especially if you're from the West, your partner's exhibiting these types of behaviors. It's hard, and you're like, honey, next time that you have tampo, give me a sign. Like it's hard for me to read it. Um, can you just say something like a code word, or like something funny, like say ditto. Like I remember in the movie Ghost, have you seen that? They have some sort of like code name. So you're entertaining a new way of communicating, because some people cannot go on having their partners do a tampo and then another one. So you're trying to entertain and help the person understand, but you can't entertain and negotiate without having to recognize, uphold, and lend a hand first. The R from on the ruler acronym is to just reconnect. Every day you're doing little things for each other, not just for the other person, and getting to know each other so that then you can become better with reading each other's verbal and nonverbal cues. I hope that's been helpful. That is Tampo. Again, there's a 7 Pinoy Love Languages course and also an ebook. This is Roanne Digia Samo. Salamat po sa pakikinig at ingat lagi. Bye!